against corporate power games. According to people who knew him, Mangione had suffered a painful back injury and had stopped connecting with friends and family. Police are investigating if that may have been part of the motive for his attack. Police also believe that Mangione admired the Unabomber and allegedly echoed his own concerns about technological advancement. The suspect had posted a positive review of that famed domestic terrorist manifesto on the website Goodreads earlier this year. We'll have more on the arrest later in the morning. We turn now to Capitol Hill. Pete Hegseth will continue meeting with Republican senators today in hopes of building support for his bid to become the Secretary of Defense. Hegseth is set to sit down today with Senator Susan Collins of Maine after he met yesterday with Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. Both, of course, moderate Republicans whose votes could decide whether or not Hegseth is confirmed as the leader of the Pentagon. Here's what Senator Murkowski had to say about their meeting, followed by Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal's assessment of where Hegseth's support currently stands.
So, how was your meeting? Are you ready to support him?
Did you learn anything that swayed you at all?
I had a good exchange with Mr. Hegseth.
Are you ready to support him?
I had a good exchange, and we'll see what the process bears.
What were you looking to learn?
Well, he's got probably at least half the Senate that he's going to visit with. He's got a process that is going to involve full vetting through the administration and then ultimately a committee.
What about the allegations?
Did he answer your questions with respect to the sexual assault allegations? Did he answer your questions on the sexual assault allegations?
Judging by what I've heard from my Republican colleagues, I think the odds of his being approved are still less than 50-50.
You're hearing dissenting voices among your Republican colleagues.
I am hearing from Republican colleagues grave doubts about his ability to do this job in a way that upholds our national security. There are too many doubts, too many risks and threats to our national security from this appointment. I think my Republican colleagues are really deeply troubled. And to be really blunt, if the fear of Donald Trump and his potential retribution were less, there's no question that this nomination would go down and go down heavily.
For days now, Blumenthal has openly predicted that Hegseth would be defeated. It does seem, though, according to people I've talked to on the Hill, that though his confirmation is far from a sure thing, it looks better now than it did last week. Meanwhile, Kash Patel, who is Trump's pick to head the FBI, was also back on the Hill yesterday for a second straight day of meetings. Patel met with key Republican senators Thom Tillis, Lindsey Graham, and Mike Lee. All three say they have signaled they will support his nomination. Senator Graham posted this photo on social media after the meeting, endorsing Patel's nomination and writing in part, "Kash promised to get the FBI back to its original mission of protecting America," and that the days of the FBI leadership having their thumb on the scale politically will be over. Many others, though, have grave doubts, to use that phrase again, about Patel. Another controversial pick, former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, also continued her Senate meetings yesterday. She had scheduled visits with Senators Tom Cotton and Jim Risch, along with Senator-elect Bernie Moreno. Unlike some of President Trump's other selections, Gabbard has seen some pushback from Republicans on her nomination as Director of National Intelligence. That opposition is, in part, due to a secret meeting she had back in 2017 with Syria's then-President Bashar al-Assad, a man very much in the news these days. Senator-elect Moreno brushed off that incident when asked about it after his meeting, telling reporters that Gabbard, quote, serves at the pleasure of the president. So this is ultimately President Trump's foreign policy, not any one member of the cabinet. Joining us now, White House correspondent for The Hill, Alex Gangitano. Alex, good to see you again. So let's talk first with Pete Hegseth. NBC News did a bit of a whip count yesterday and agrees with what Senator Blumenthal said, that he does not yet have the votes for confirmation. But it does seem like he has some momentum. What's your read there from people you've talked to on the Hill and in the Trump transition? Do they think Hegseth has enough to get over the finish line?
That's right. It does feel like he has momentum compared to, at this point, even last week, when there were more predictions that as soon as, Joni Ernst said, I'm definitely not going to be supporting him, that others would fall in line. I still think that is something that could happen. Joni Ernst and Lisa Murkowski have both been not as candid about their meetings with him. They haven't outright said, I'm feeling better. We had heard from Ernst earlier this week, though, who appeared to be softening to him, which I think is encouraging to Hegseth and the Trump camp. But from what I've talked to, it's still people I've talked to, there's still a situation that if Ernst comes out and says, I've been in the military, I cannot outright support this pick, we're going to see others coming out immediately and saying, which was similar to what happened with Matt Gaetz. Meanwhile, still, we have these confirmation hearings ahead. I think that some senators who are the Trump loyalist camp wanted him in a better position going into those hearings. And as it stands right now, those are still going to be some really tough hearings that could, if he lasts that long, actually change some minds of people who right now are feeling like, OK, I think I can support him at this point.
And that's such a key question, that if it looks like he doesn't have the support, does he go through with these hearings? Potentially an embarrassing spectacle, or does Trump pull him back and go with someone else? Another person whose nomination in question, as just noted, is Tulsi Gabbard. Is particularly with what we've seen in Syria over the last few days, that sort of resurfaces her issues there and has seemingly increased some doubts among Republicans. What's the latest you've heard about her chances?
Yeah, she's an interesting one because this isn't a code of conduct. This isn't, an issue like Hegseth and Gaetz. This is an issue on how she sees, the U.S. standing on the world stage. The fact that she went and met with the likes of an Assad. The fact that she has had statements that are more pro-Russia than what some of these hardline Republicans want to see. I think what was a telling meeting, though, is Senator Lindsey Graham earlier this week sat down with her, and they have really differing opinions about Ukraine and his support for assisting Ukraine. But he came out and said that he feels better about supporting her, and that really, if it's Trump's choice, he'll support Trump. And that's really what we're hearing from a lot of these senators. This has been an ongoing theme that as much as they might have some issues, as much as they might feel like some of her past comments or past activities were sketchy in their eyes, however they want to define it, if it's who Trump wants, they don't want to be in the line of fire against Trump. They don't want to be the name who brings down his nomination. And, down in Mar-a-Lago, they know that, too. They know that these senators are likely to fall in line unless you're really the type to come out and say, I have serious concerns and enough is enough.
Yeah, really good reporting there. White House correspondent for The Hill, Alex Gonzitano. Alex, thank you again. We'll talk to you again soon. Next up here, President Joe Biden defends his economic legacy and warns against a return of Republican trickle-down economics. We'll show you Biden's new remarks. Plus, an update on the health of outgoing Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell after he took a fall yesterday. Those stories and a check on sports and weather. Rainy day on the East Coast. We'll be right back.
Eva, quick question. If you had to choose herding cats or building a benefits package for your team?
Oh, definitely benefits.
You know what a hairball benefits can be, right?
Actually, with Gusto, wrangling benefits like health insurance, dental, 401k, and workers' comp couldn't be easier.
Perfection.
Real original. Hey, make good choices.
Benefits and payroll without the chaos. That's working with Gusto.
Get the latest updates on future MSNBC Live events, thought-provoking conversations, and insider perspectives while building your MSNBC community. Scan the QR code on your screen to sign up today.
Do I watch sports because it's a guaranteed way to feel something? Yes, I do.
I watch golf for the merciless trash talk.
You suck.
I'm just here for the cheese.
Each week on my podcast, I'm joined by uniquely qualified guests who help me take a big picture look at the issues, like Representative Jasmine Crockett, late night host Seth Meyers, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and many more. Why is this happening? Listen now.
Welcome back. You thought we were done talking about controversial Trump cabinet nominations, but nope. Key Senate Democrats are demanding answers from Dr. Mehmet Oz, who, of course, is Trump's pick to run the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, on Oz's past support for privatizing Medicare and his financial ties to insurance companies. In a letter led by Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, they cite a 2020 opinion piece that Oz co-authored, where he proposed putting all seniors into private insurance plans under Medicare Advantage and then expanding it to cover all Americans without Medicaid. The senators in this note ask Oz a series of questions, including, if confirmed as the CMS administrator, will he oppose efforts to privatize or cut Medicare, and also fully divest his own financial holdings related to the health insurance industry. The letter was signed by 7 Democrats, including Senator Ron Wyden, who is set to become the ranking member of the Finance Committee, which oversees the CMS nomination. Elsewhere in Washington, President Biden addressed his economic legacy during a speech yesterday. Biden took time, with his own legacy in mind, to celebrate the success of his economy, and he also took some swipes at President-elect Trump.
Most economists agree the new administration is going to inherit a fairly strong economy, at least at the moment. An economy going through fundamental transformation. It's laid out a stronger foundation and a sustainable, broad-based, highly productive growth. And it is my profound hope that the new administration will preserve and build on this progress. Like most great economic developments, this one is neither red nor blue. And America's progress is everyone's progress. The previous administration, quite frankly, had no real plan to get us through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history. Remember Infrastructure Week? We had Infrastructure Week for 4 years, nothing got built.